Okay, today we are going to cover supervision. So this will be general supervision of children. And this one is for other than gross motor. And then we're going to cover, jump over and cover for gross motor play. So let's see. This is actually page 59 of your ECERS R book, and it is item 30, general supervision of children other than gross motor for this one. Okay, so going down the 3 column, of course, sufficient supervision to protect children's safety. So you do want to make sure that supervision is at the minimum sufficient. That will score you a 1. And if you want to score better than that, then under the 5, it's going to say careful supervision of all children. And that supervision should be adjusted appropriately for different ages and abilities. So you know your children, so you know which children are going to be more impulsive than others, which ones need to be supervised more closely, that kind of stuff. So adjusting your supervision and being careful with it. 3.2 mentions that there is attention given to cleanliness and to prevent inappropriate use of materials. So, you know, this is a part of supervision. You do want to watch the children, make sure that they're using materials appropriately, that scissors are for cutting and for cutting paper, not for cutting your friend's hair, that kind of thing. And paying attention with how, in general, how they're using materials and being appropriate. 3.3 says that most supervision is non-punitive and control is exercised in a reasonable way. So what they mean by non-punitive means they're not being punished for the most part. So you can't, if you were to put pull child from one center and place them in another center, just because you can keep a better eye on them, that would be probably considered punitive. You're not allowing the child to do what they want in the classroom. You know, it would be like putting a baby in a playpen just to make sure that they don't get away from you. So you do have to watch for that kind of control, that you're being reasonable with that. 5.2, staff give children help and encouragement when needed. So, you know, that's just paying attention to the child who's wandering around, can't figure out what they want to do. It's your job to kind of help them get involved in play, help them, help support them when they're trying to finish a project, when they're becoming frustrated. The one thing to remember with supervision, if you were to look in your child care requirements under the law for supervision, it actually states that supervision is interactive. So by definition, interactive supervision. So that does not mean you can stand back and just pay attention to what the children are doing. You actually have to be down there with the children and interacting with them. And at the same time, keeping them safe. 5.3, staff show awareness of the whole group, even when working with one child or a small group. So that, believe it or not, there are some teachers that need practice with that. You have to remember that, you know, if you're sitting at a table with a group of children and you're doing a small group activity, a teacher-led activity with a small group, you want to position yourself so you can see what the other children around the room are doing. If you have to bend down to tie a shoe, you want to kind of turn the child a little bit so you can see the children behind that child. So just making sure at all times that as much of the room, as many of the children are visible to you. If you don't want both teachers' backs to be to the children at the same time. 5.4, staff show appreciation of children's efforts and accomplishments. So giving them lots of pats on the back, encouraging them, a lot of positive reinforcement. 7.1, staff talk to children about ideas related to their play, asking questions, adding information to extend their thinking. That goes back to what I just previously said. Supervision is interactive. This is all a part of that. You're supervising them, but you're also helping them with other areas of development as you're doing it. 7.2, a balance is maintained between the child's need to explore independently and staff input into learning. So, and the examples they give, child is allowed to complete a painting before being asked to talk about it. Child is allowed to discover that her block building is unbalanced when it falls down. So it's like, try not to always be so quick to jump in there. Allow the child to learn, support their learning, but don't always do it for them. You want to be a facilitator, but not always the fixer for them. So I think that's all for this one, for general supervision other than gross motor. I'm going to jump back a page to supervision of gross motor activities. So this would likely be your outdoor activities. Again, 3.1, supervision is adequate to protect children's health and safety. So that's the minimum. You just want to make sure you have enough staff there and that you're positioning yourself to be able to see as many areas outside, as many children as you need, moving around whenever you need, intervening when problems occur. 3.2, some positive staff-child interaction. So comforting a child when they're upset, when they're hurt, again, being appreciative of their skills, using a pleasant tone of voice. And to build on that, you're going to jump over here to 5.2, where it says most staff-child interactions are pleasant and helpful. So it's some staff-child interaction, but also most of your interaction is pleasant and helpful. 5.1 builds on what we read in 3.1. 3.1, it was adequate supervision. 5.1 is you're going to be proactive, act to prevent dangerous situations before they occur. So if you see that toys are broken on the playground, if you see that a child may miss a rung on a ladder as they're climbing, you want to be there to help them. You want them to challenge themselves, but you want to remove any hazards that are in their way as they're doing it. And that goes along with 5.3, staff assist children to develop skills needed to use the equipment. So encouraging them, how do you pump your legs when you're on the swing, and helping them to use the tricycle or to push each other in a wagon. And then, to go down to the 7 column, you're taking everything to a higher level. As they're playing, you're talking to the children about ideas related to their play. This goes back again, that interactive supervision, helping with resources to enhance their play. So you do want to make sure that they have enough to do outside, that, if they want to create a train track and ride their trike around the track, or setting up an obstacle course, those kinds of ideas. You're there to facilitate their play as needed. And then you're also there to encourage them to develop positive social interactions. So helping them with each other, how to take turns when there's one favorite tricycle that they all want, and not just solving it for them, but helping them to work it out as well, being encouraging for that. So I think that is all for supervision.